Go for it.
All right, welcome everybody. Nice to see all the faces. I'd like to call our meeting to order 6:30. Can we have the Pledge of Allegiance?
Right. Good evening to our wonderful board members, our administration, our leaders of our district, our wonderful community members here to join us tonight. My name is Carlo Obano. I'm the principal of Santa Cruz Gardens. Welcome to our newest board member, Gray. Yeah, it brings me pleasure to be here. Just want to say briefly that we're all here to do this good work because we all have big hearts, and that's a connector for us for sure. And sometimes, you know, we feel the ways of the world can be unfair. We wish for better, we work for better. And we're thankful to be together in this work. And I want to say that coming out of our youth, out of our classrooms, is the one and only Mitchell Everts. And we're very thankful to have him here, a fourth grader at Santa Cruz Gardens. He's going to be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And we're very, very thankful to have him at Santa Cruz Gardens here representing for you tonight. Looking forward to hearing more about you, Mitch. So take your time and the floor is yours.
All right. So if everybody would like to please stand up. Place your right hand on your heart. Ready? And begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, our mission at the SoCal Union Elementary School District is that staff, students, and parents, and each community helps ensure that each child develops the skill and character necessary to respond for lifelong achievement and responsible citizenship in a diverse world.
All right, Mitchell, thank you so much for starting off our meeting. We have an award that
We have a certificate here.
certificate.
Actually, you know, you did a great job up there. You're well spoken. You're gonna be you could be an announcer someday.
We don't usually get
Or his favorite team, the Dodgers.
I'm not the fan of the Dodgers, so if I had a speech about the Dodgers, I would be out of the stadium.
Very good. Okay, so I'm gonna read a really great couple paragraphs all about you, okay? Mitchell Everts is a phenomenal example of our Santa Cruz Gardens way, which is to be safe, kind, and responsible. Mitch is very inclusive and helpful towards all of his peers. He is able to communicate beyond his years and is very confident in himself. You are. He is a hard worker and a great collaborator. He has been at the garden since TK with Miss Johnson and during his primary career. He has enjoyed his friends the most with 7 wonderful best friends. His favorite thing to do in school are science and being outdoors, learning all about natural phenomena. He loved his recent field trip to Cabrillo College and taking part in the real chemistry lab. His favorite things to do outside of school are to be outside, creating and playing games, and being with his family. He loves baseball and plays currently for the Diamondbacks and enjoys the position as catcher and pitcher. Wow, 2 important positions right there. There you go. Mitch's favorite food is his mom's one-of-a-kind butter noodle pasta. That sounds good. And his favorite place to and his favorite place to eat is also his mom and sister's favorite, Suda. He would love to travel to Scotland, Australia, or Hawaii, and comes from a long line of sailors, artists that have been so much of the world. Mitch would like to be a police officer when he grows up. Many of his family have served in the military, and would love to help be of service to the community as well. Thank you for bringing your best self to SCG every day, Mitchell. Right, wow, wow. That was a lot there. You did quite a
Did
lot.
a lot of stuff in SCG.
Yeah, Santa Cruz Gardens.
We usually ask questions. Is that okay if we ask you some questions?
sure.
Yeah. Who wants to start?
Well, I had the pleasure of visiting Mitchell today at school.
Yeah.
And had a great chat with him and learned a lot about you. And even more of being a police officer. We didn't do this, but you tell me about science and wanting to travel. And oh yeah, and all your animals.
Yep.
You gotta tell us all about your animals.
I've got a ton of dogs in my family. Some of them have already passed, but I still have a lot on my stepmom's side of the family. They live in one kind of big house where they've got tons of dogs just running around there rapidly. They've got a giant backyard, which they have a tree that I think was meant to be climbed, and it had a tree house in it at one point before I was alive. And my cousin has a few cats, and a couple of years before, when my stepdad was a kid, he wanted a pet snake, and he never got one. But now, since he is older, he's actually more afraid of snakes, where my other dad, on the hand, is afraid of spiders.
Oh, he would love Australia.
Spider?
I was wondering about science. You said you were
I like chemistry and science, so
yeah.
our chemistry, the person that taught us the chemistry and science at the Cabrillo thing, he was like, the only way to test it was as famously, the only way to test it was to put it on fire.
Yeah.
And he did a lot of tricks by putting like rocks and specific rock types with chemicals and made rocks turn into like green or red and weird twister cyclones and stuff. It was really fascinating.
Wow. And what about in the gardens? What's your favorite science thing you do in the
I
gardens?
love studying nature and stuff, like studying animals and how pollinators react when they collect pollen and transfer and stuff. I just love playing in nature.
Sounds like you're in the perfect school for that, right? Lots of
Yeah.
opportunities.
Santa
to-
Cruz Gardens. It's in the name.
That's right. Well, I'm always curious when we get to the pleasure of talking to students, I'm always curious if there's anything that you want us to know. Anything that would help, you know,
Really?
adult leaders in schools know, like how we could serve kids better.
Not
They could-
really. Adults in my school are doing a very fabulous job of teaching and being honest and respectful to our students there.
Cause it's important to have student voice, right? Like so often it's the adults kind of with the steering wheel and what you say is important too. So we're here to listen.
Which I'm also loving.
It's You're very good at the podium. It's awesome having you here.
Yeah, you are.
Wow.
I love to just keep talking.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Has your baseball season kicked off?
Yep, it has. Well, our practices have, but our game is on Saturday, which I have to wake up really early apparently because I have to have a ceremony for all the teams and then a game. But the game is like a couple of hours away from the game, from the practice, and for right now, I'm just having to practice with my stepdad and my dad and my mom and my stepmom and my sister who's a softball player.
Right. Actually, we have a board member here virtually. Robert, do you have any questions? Comments?
Oh my God, this kid's awesome. I don't know if I have any questions. He's answered everything that I thought to ask him. You know, he kind of lost a few points with the whole Dodger thing in the beginning.
You're
I'm
good.
sorry.
Oh, yeah. I could see him as being a newscaster. He's very well spoken.
Heck yeah, man. Bring him down to the studio. Let's put him on the air.
There we go.
It was really nice to meet you. You're a smart kid. It's just incredible to hear you speak.
Thanks.
I'm lucky. Yeah.
Mitch, I got it. You're getting a lot of flack here. What's your favorite baseball team?
My favorite baseball team?
Yeah.
My stepdad's favorite team, the Giants, San Francisco Giants.
Yeah, you like the Giants?
Yeah. One of my favorite players, which is now retired, is called Buster Posey.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And catcher.
Yeah, great capture.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for setting off our meeting. It's this the best way to start a meeting. We have these prizes. If you want to come pick a prize, and we can give you this certificate if you want to come on up.
You get something for your sister. too.
Yeah, if you want to take anything, give something to your
Might
sister.
as well just take something from my sister.
That's very thoughtful.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh.
cool book here, like down all your science experience. Experiments.
Obviously don't have reply.
You don't want pity?
So my sister? Yeah, so do you like pink?
Mia's an awesome artist.
You can pick whatever color you
Yeah.
want.
Both great artists.
Mia's very good.
Artists too, jeez.
Yeah.
Pick anything that's blue.
Blue, yeah. Where do you go to school?
Oh, I see an orange one.
Okay.
Brighton.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna just repeat what you said. This is so fire.
Let's get a fire picture.
Yeah. Let's do that. Let's do it.
All right.
Thanks for reminding us what we did for the match. Yeah.
You okay being in the picture with us?
First, family first.
That's fine, yeah, no. Put the family together here, I'll move over here. Okay, ready?
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, yeah, that was great.
Thank you, Mr. Alano.
Hey, Mitch. Good meeting you. I had a great time today. I remember you said you were gonna take her to Hawaii.
Thank all for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, love that. All right, we have an announcement.
Yeah, so we have one of our trustees here virtually, so we're just going to say a few words that establishes that process. And so for teleconferencing, for an individual board member, it currently falls under AB 2449, which goes all the way through the end of 2025 for what that's worth. One key difference between this legislation and the way it was pre-pandemic is that the remote location does not have to be identified on the agenda or accessible to the public. So just for the record. Another difference is that the board votes on it. So the board has to approve that Trustee Dickinson can participate in the meeting in his virtual world there. It's not an item on the agenda, obviously, because we didn't know until just earlier today that this would be happening, but Trustee Dickinson did notify the board through the superintendent at the earliest possible convenience. He has what's called under this legislation just cause with a contagious illness. And he didn't want to get the rest of the team sick. Common sense, right? And so we'll ask that just before we take action to adopt the agenda, that the board consider approving Trustee Dickinson to participate via teleconference.
And is that a roll or do we just make?
Just a motion and
Okay.
a regular.
Would someone like to make a motion?
I will make a motion to accept Robert on TV during the meeting.
All right, I'll second. All in favor?
Aye. It's like TV Mike, right?
All right, and the roll call?
Trustee Gray, here. Trustee Jackson Miller, here. Trustee Donnelly,
Present?
trustee Edmondson,
Present?
trustee Dickinson.
Present.
All
Virtual.
right. All right. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
The motion. Or do you have to pull something?
No, I didn't know. Is there any changes to the agenda?
To consent agenda.
Yeah, not
Got
at this
it.
moment.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Okay. I'll second.
Great, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, I'm moving on to the consent agenda.
And I would like to pull item 2E and table it. While we're enthusiastic of pursuing the mass action lawsuit regarding the effects of social media on our students. After further research, I found that some districts in our county are going with another firm. So I wanted to further investigate the firm that they're going with, just to compare the differences, and it's much better to kind of go together as a group.
Great, thanks for that. All right, so pulling item 2E, may I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion.
And a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, the motion passes without 2E. Any public communications?
No, nothing on email.
All right, anybody in the room? Would anybody like to make a public comment? All right, moving on to standing reports. Let's start with the superintendent.
Oh, going through it.
Going the other way.
I like it. I like it. Here we go. Let me bring up my notes. Welcome, Ariel, their first official board meeting. It's great to have you a part of the team. And we were able to have a chance to sit down and chat, and we tried not to go over too much, but just cover some basics. And I really can tell how engaged you are. I'm really looking forward to working with you. A few things for me. I was able between now and the last board meeting to attend the CABE conference down in Anaheim. CABE is the California Association of Bilingual Education. So, you know, we have a small but mighty dual language immersion program over at Soquel Elementary. I was able to attend with both of the teachers in that program, Marian Reese and Ilda Oliva, who are just fantastic in all ways, teaching wise, and great to attend the conference with, as well as one of our psychologists, Bonnie Head. And that was really important because DLI students, same percentage of DLI students as in the regular population of students might need special services. So to make sure that our special services team are in tune with the DLI program, I thought was really forward thinking, and Bonnie requested to attend, and it was great to have her as well. Lots of great sessions there, too much to go into detail. I will just say a couple of things. One, I saw a documentary called East of Salinas, which I highly recommend. You know, our district doesn't serve a large percentage of migrant families, obviously. The idea of what educators do to support families is really captured in the heart of that video. Also wanted to shout out Robin Tong in accounts payable. She is just amazing at making the conference going and the travel going. I mean, all of our staff does, but Robin is always in the background setting up those travel plans, airfare, and it just, she makes it seamless. And she's one of those people that can go unrecognized because she's so good at her job. I wanted to make sure to recognize her here. Several of us also went through CSTAG training. CSTAG, if you're wondering, stands for Comprehensive School Threat Assessment Guidelines. And so it's really a part of the mix of our overall school safety. If you think about it, this year, we've been focusing on incident command, the new standard response in the county, and also now enhanced threat assessment training. So we did several modules online before we went to the in-person training at the COE, and it was really well done and really gave us next level threat assessment training. We had a wonderful racial justice task force meeting right here in this room last night. Thank you, Amanda, for being a part of that. And included the design of a safe spaces banner that we're putting together for our district schools, which we're excited about. And just ongoing conversations about cultural proficiency. I want to thank both associations, CSEA and SEA, for their continued collaboration. I attended the end of the virtual SEA meeting earlier this week on Monday, and just regular and open dialogue. Just that is a great thing. And I also really appreciate the way that they focus on what's working well, as well as what can be going better. It's a great construct for the meeting. It keeps things always on the positive. So that's it for me.
Thank you for that update. Would you like to go next?
I would love to, thank you. And welcome. It was so great to visit you when you came by my office the other day. So great to have you on our team. Thank you. A couple things since the last time we met. I too was able to attend a conference just started the night of our board meeting, our last board meeting, and that was the sixth conference, which is a curriculum and instruction conference, and I was able to attend with some Java likes around our county. But because it's a statewide conference, I was able to see a lot of my Java likes all over the state who I love and know through other work that we're doing. So it's really great to collaborate with them. And I appreciate the board allowing me to do that meeting virtually. When I returned that Saturday, I was able to attend the County Office of Education Recruitment Fair with Sandy Figueroa, our HR coordinator. Lots of great new teaching candidates coming out of our programs. And so it's really great to see some fresh faces and talk to beginning teachers about their hopes for our passionate work. I also attended the CSAG threat assessment training, and all of our site administrators and counselors were there. It was great training. And I felt very prepared. It was very thorough. I think our sites felt supported as well. I was able to attend the CAST statewide training, and that is for district level coordinators, which I am. And not much new that's happening, but always great to be informed. I am working with one of our teachers and one of our former teachers with the city of Capitola on a beautification project on Washburn. And so the next kind of step in this process is to go before the Arts Council for the city of Capitola, which will be doing a presentation on next Tuesday. And be able to share where we are in our proposal. It will be similar to some of the beautification projects we've done with the city in the past. So we're excited about that. We have been working with the New Teacher Project. We have had an ongoing partnership with the New Teacher Project for a number of years, and we had our end of year meeting to say, like, how have things gone? How are our new teachers feeling supported? And it was really a positive meeting. I think one of the things that we're finding is that the efforts that the New Teacher Project is bringing forward in terms of culturally responsive and socially just education is really kind of the work that we're doing too. So it really marries well, bringing new teachers into our district, and that kind of matched with the New Teacher Project mentorship and our site-based mentorship are working really well together too. So that's been wonderful. Last Thursday, we had our monthly principals, leaders and learning meeting. And we have been practicing with the walkthrough tool to look at students who we feel are most in need of our observation and really trying to understand their student experience. And so we were able to visit a 6th grade class, a 7th grade class, and an 8th grade class, looking at about 3 to 4 students in each of those classrooms to see, like, what does it feel like to be them during the course of their class, and looking through it, looking at their engagement through the walkthrough tool through Zaretta Hammond's work that we've been doing for the past 2 years. That was at New Brighton, they said. The LCAP writing sessions have started. And so while the LCAP is something that happens all year long, I'm really kind of getting into the work and sitting down and starting to craft, our thoughts on it. That began on the 1st, which was held at the County Office of Education. And I'm currently working on the English Learner Master Plan for the 24-25 school year. We have not had an updated EL master plan for many, many years, and attempted to work on it through COVID, and post-COVID things have changed. And so we're going back to the drawing board, and we'll be meeting with the EL specialist tomorrow morning. And then as recently as today, we were able to meet with our state representatives on our EVA plan, and they have regional support for ELA programs in schools. And so we're able to talk to them about all of our schools and some ongoing support for that. So lots going on. Very exciting.
Wow, I mean, after that makes it hard.
Yeah.
I'm simple. Met with the COE SPED team, Devin, Amethyst, and Richard, to look at the space we have available for their program at Santa Cruz Gardens. And that went really well. We're really excited to collaborate with the COE with that. It seems like it would fit perfectly up there at the gardens, so that would be exciting. And then just been working on second interim, getting close to finishing up, so that's really about all I have. Yeah, I know, don't want to jinx myself.
All right, thanks for those reports. Moving on to, that's everybody, right? Yeah. Okay, CSEA, do we have anything? Yay. Hello, how are you?
Happy Women's History Month. First of all, we have our next CCA meeting next Tuesday of 12th, so I'll give you more information. But we're all excited about our raise. Hopefully we can get it at the end of the month, but if not, it's okay. We'll take it in April or May. Still be ready for May. We'll all be happy about that. Also, last meeting, I was online listening and just some people had made some comments about riding the police cars, and sometimes some of the good stuff doesn't get to you. And I just want to read an email that we got for our CSCA staff at New Brighton Middle School. It says, I'm not going to tell you the student's name, but it says, thank you, Enrique, for your kindness and concern about student. You guys, which was Manny, our campus supervisor, Desiree, our cheer coach, and office staff. She said, you guys all at the school really impressed me with your caring ways and wanting to make sure student was okay. We are doing okay. We have to go see an orthopedic surgeon after swelling goes down to make sure what way we go from here. He's been laying down all day in pain. I feel horrible and he can't play football. He was really excited and happy about being a part of the team. Thanks again. Thanks again, you guys all exceeded my expectations. So that's from a parent. You don't hear that all the time, but what happened was a student got injured, broke his thumb, maybe injured it, I'm not really sure. The coach took him to campus supervisor took him to Desiree took him to the office called mom or parents came down, took him to the hospital, so just in case anybody's out there, that's what we do. Also, a little bit off the union stuff, this Friday, we are having our first girls flag football team at Jade Street, starts at 3:45. One of the only captain, Sarah Ryan, I think she's the only woman captain in Santa Cruz County. We'll be doing our coin toss.
Nice.
So if you all want to be there, it'd be great. And that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thanks for reading that letter. It's really wonderful to hear all the great things that we know are happening. And
Thank you.
you're right.
Just wanna make sure
Yeah, we
everybody
appreciate
knows
that.
We do get a lot of good.
Yeah.
books.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Yes.
Oh, I'll leave back.
All right, SEA.
That's me. Hi.
Hello.
Okay, so we're gonna start with welcome, Miss Gray. Santa Cruz Gardens monthly character trait this month is courage. They're also celebrating a love of reading week with a mother language theme. Santa Cruz Gardens is also hosting an information night for students with IEPs and for families that have the potential to enroll at their school. At Main Street, the 2nd and 5th graders were treated to a bike rodeo from the Bike SAFT program to teach about bicycle safety. 3rd graders have enjoyed their capoeira instruction with help.
Thank you.
And 2nd graders have been learning modern dance with Mia Scott. I'm sorry, I was gonna butcher that name. Both grades will have performances to share their learning next week. 5th grade is also participating in the Invention Convention again this year and will hold their fair on March 15th. Ms. May's 3rd grade class held a performance of The Chocolate Touch for families and fellow 3rd graders, and the art show for Mandy Lopez's after-school art class with help from Joanne Hildreth was a great success. Bird School will be coming to teach 5th graders birding skills. Museum of Discovery will be coming to teach a science unit to all the grades. And Michael Soros is once again generously volunteering his time to teach chess to the 3rd through 5th graders, as he has done for several years. Our thanks also to our parent group, Friends of Main Street, for helping us to be able to provide performance arts. There's more. Oak Cliff students are demonstrating community service. A 6th grader is now volunteering with the 5th grade class at Main Street. This experience seems to be having a positive impact on many levels. An 8th grader, nationally ranked 13th in her age group for skiing, is fundraising for Heavenly Foundation to help provide equipment and other resources to kids who would not otherwise have access to skiing. This week at SoCal Elementary is our book fair. We've already had a lot of books be sold,
lot of other distracting items. As a teacher, I can just say there's a lot of other distracting items. We're looking forward to our jogathon, which is next Friday on March 15th, and we've had a lot of really great field trips that have happened just recently and are happening in the next couple of weeks. We have like going to the Sea Odyssey and just like lots of stuff. And like, I'm kind of jealous. I wish I could be a regular classroom teacher and go on field trips sometimes. But SEA is like very happy to welcome you, and we feel like right now things are going great.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that update. So thorough. All right, items from trustees.
Oh,
Anybody want to
somewhere?
kick us off?
yeah, well, I had a great day today or this morning visiting Mitch at Santa Cruz Gardens. And pretty much talked about everything that he brought up. And great kid, well spoken. And then also we went through the sage, right, the garden. And he shared a poem from a friend that was his favorite, and it's called I Think, and I'll send it to you guys to read it, but it's a really, really cool poem. But otherwise, yeah, it was a fun morning. Thank you for hanging the art here. This is all from Santa Cruz Gardens, right? Okay. I like the self-portraits here.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a picture of those, if you don't mind, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
These are great.
You want to get closer, or you?
That's good.
Okay.
Zoom, thank you.
Yeah.
We should do self-portraits.
Awesome, yes.
Or we join each other. That would be good.
And a little something I wish I said last meeting when the CSCA was approved for the increase, and I wish Reiki was here, but I remember when we visited SoCal. And I met a custodian, I'm not gonna say her name, but I had a feeling that felt that she was just a custodian. And I think we all appreciate what they do after hours behind the scenes. They're not just custodians, they're making their room clean and welcoming for the kids and the teachers. And boy, I'm sure they clean up some messes too. So appreciation to especially the custodians and the maintenance guys too. And I'll let Enrique know too. So, and that's it.
Thanks. Somebody else?
Sure, I'll hop in. Thank you. That's a really, really good point. It's really well spoken. We talk about, it's not part of my report or anything, but we talk about it, it's a huge barrier to learning if you go to school hungry, or there's some other, right, Maslow's hierarchy, some of those basic needs. Well, also, like if you go into a cold environment or a dirty environment or just someplace that smells really unwelcoming, like it's really hard to focus and learn. So it's super important work. As far as my trustee report, I wanted to thank the superintendent for his article in the Capital, the SoCal Times. Thank you for sharing that with us, and it should be widely available for those who want to take a look. But I appreciate all the outreach efforts you're doing to share our exciting field project at New Brighton.
Yeah.
So it's really like trying to reach people in so many ways, because we want to be good neighbors. We want people to be excited about the good things we're doing for the kids in the whole community. So thank you for that. And last night I had the pleasure, as you mentioned, of attending the Racial Justice Task Force meeting. Again, I mean, every time I go to one, I think I report out, like, it's just this wonderful, engaged, passionate group of folks who are, for the most part, employees here by day, and then they're coming and volunteering their time at a meeting at night. And I'm really looking forward to their report to the board, which I think is on May 1st. And we really have something to look forward to and be proud of. That's it for me.
Great, thank you. Did you want to go next?
Sure, I can go. I mean, obviously I'm brand new, so I spent some time with Scott and with Jen and met all the folks in the office, and that was really great to start getting up to speed. I am getting, Jen, those CSBA emails, so I've started to sort of review some of those, and really just trying to dig in to get up to speed and figure out what questions I have and what things I need to learn, and have been really felt very welcomed by everyone.
Great. I would like to say welcome. Thank you. We all would. We're very excited to have you. I have nothing to report. Robert, can we go to you?
Sure. I just wanted to dovetail on Amanda, that I thought that article was terrific, Scott. I love how much that you are going out of your way and doing everything you can to make sure that we are involving the community in our decisions,
Yeah, totally.
what we're putting on. I know that's a big focus of the board. And I'd also like to just say, it was so cool to hear you guys talk about the Invention Convention and the catamaran sail trip. I remember doing those twice with you guys for my 2 boys, and each one was an amazing experience for them to carry that throughout their middle school career and now into high school is really cool to bring back those memories. So I appreciate everything you guys do. And Enrique, it doesn't surprise me one bit that you got that letter.
All right. That sounds like it. Would you mind closing the door? It's pretty chilly in here.
Well, we gotta nominate him as door monitor.
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you, Carla. All right, moving on to presentations, information discussion, the LCAP bite.
All right, well, thank you. As we do every meeting, we talk a little bit about one of the actions that was associated with the LCAP, and this is a little bit different than that. Really, this item tonight falls under goal 3, but it's not a specific action. It's actually part of the ongoing LCAP process. And this item was specifically requested by one of our board members. And so this is really just to talk informally about how educational partner engagement works as part of the LCAP. And so I just wanted to start by saying that there are informal ways and formal ways of collecting information from our educational partners, and we have many. So the formal process for collecting information for the LCAP comes in a variety of forms. The first one is there's a staff, student, and family survey that goes out. And that survey really asks some fundamental questions. You know, do you feel welcome when you're on a school campus? Is your child challenged academically? All of those kinds of things. And those questions maintain some consistency every year so we can measure whether there's been growth or not over the course of the 3 years of the LCAP. So that's one of the formal ways, and it's a very numerical kind of representation of the data that we're collecting. Some of the formal ways that are not mathematical in terms of calculation are when we go through the kind of end of December cycle, which is our mid-year time of year, we say, like, how are we doing so far? And we present the opportunity of our school staffs to say, these are where our goals and how did we do? Like, what things worked for you and what things do you think made a lot of movement for you and for students, and which ones didn't want as much, and what ideas do you have? And so we call it a charting activity. It's very old school. There's a chart, there's a piece of paper, and everybody can just kind of fill in however much information that they want, and they can do it voluntarily or anonymously, any way that they want. And then once those are completed, we keep them at the school sites for a couple of weeks. And once those are completed, then Scott and I go to the schools on a scheduled time and we say, this is when we're going to be there. Come and talk to us, ask us questions. And there are different levels of engagement on that, kind of depending on, you know, the school, depending on, you know, kinds of some of the things that the school's super passionate about. And so we've spent anywhere between like an hour to almost 3 hours talking to staffs about their ideas, which has been great. It's one of my favorite parts of the process. So those formalized structures are always in place. Another formalized structure that's always in place is the LCAP bite. So because this is a community meeting, and the community can see the LCAP bites every other week when we post them, the community can say, gosh, that's something that really interests me. I'd like to be there during that time and listen to it and talk to it if I'd like to. That doesn't happen very often because we do LCAP bites every other week. And so typically if a question comes up, families will send us an email directly. And so they don't necessarily come to this forum, but they can. And that's a really great way to formalize the process as well. Another part of the formalized process is our town halls and our community forums. And, you know, those are a way for as many members of the community who want to participate at any given moment of time to be able to participate. And so we've done those virtually during COVID times, and we've done those in person, and we've done hybrid versions as well. And so those continue to be ongoing practices. One of the other formalized ways that we collect information from families is when our staff and our families communicate back to us. There's a space on the survey that basically says, would you like to join us on one of our committees or one of our teams? And so once we get those names together, then we hold a committee meeting that basically says, you're a teacher that says you are interested, you're a classified member that said you're interested, you're a family member that said you're interested. And we kind of go through, you know, what has come up through the survey's themes. In those surveys, we talk about what the fiscal prioritization team has talked about in terms of like aligning resources to things that that team has felt were really important. So that is kind of like in the middle of the springtime, and that's what really tightens up our final decision making about how the allocations kind of align with the actions. Another part that people don't realize has a lot to do with the educational partner engagement is the SIPSA planning, and that's the school plans for student achievement. And the reason that families don't always know that these are correlated is because it looks like it's kind of a plan that stands on its own, but it doesn't. So the school plans for student achievement are directly related to the LCAP. So how it works is the LCAP in our district has 3 big goals. And then at each school site, the school sites develop goals associated with their student body, their student needs, their staff needs, the safety of their community in alignment with those 3 goals. And so basically the district says, these are the overarching goals. School, how are you going to do those to best meet the needs of your specific community? And so there's the school site council that's involved with that. There's community surveys that go out with that about how the school's doing. So it's more of a climate survey. And those are all formalized ways under the SIPSA process. And then, of course, we have a number of organizations that work on our school sites in our districts. So we have DLAC, which is our District English Learner Advisory Committee. We have our English Learner Advisory Committees. We have our CAC. We have our home and school clubs that are really involved with kind of allocating resources where the district has kind of said, like, you know, this is some support that we need. And they've been great at that. And then I think the last piece of that is that there's always a check and balance. So the school plans for student achievement have accountability measures in it, and so do the LCAP. So we can say, like, this is what our community said was really important at the district level. This is what our community said was really important at the site level. And then you build in measures and you have to report on those at the end of the year. So these are all kinds of educational partner groups within like our school community, but there are other partners that we work with. We work with the city of Capitola and CKC. Those are our most notable partners at this time. And then we work with the County Office of Education. So they have a fiscal team that says, like, can you afford what you're doing? They have their curriculum and instruction team that basically will take a look at the goals and the actions and say, yeah, those are best practices, or those are practices that are commonly, you know, used to attempt to achieve what you're trying to achieve, whether it's closing an achievement gap or something like that. And they'll give us advisement about that. And that's why when we present our LCAP to the board, from our board, it goes to the county board, and they actually take a look at it and they say, okay, this is in alignment with, you know, kind of the advisement and the practices that we think will work, or there's some questions that we have. And so there's always that accountability kind of at that last step. So those are the ways that we collect information from families more formally. I would say, and Scott and I have talked about this recently, is that we have such a small community in many ways that people know us and they rate to us. And so if there is something that is, a question or an issue or an idea, our families are very happy to just email us directly saying, have you thought about, adding this educational partner, or have you thought about, this book or that, resource. And so we appreciate that. And while that's not formal, we don't want that to be discontinued from the work. The LCAP is an ongoing process all year. It doesn't just happen at the timeline that the state holds us accountable for. It's more for us a document that guides us through kind of the work that we're doing all year long. So I don't know if that's helpful, but hopefully it gives you a little bit of information.
All right, any questions from trustees or comments?
Thank you. All that. A lot of work.
It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, no, thank you for all of the outreach, and I know we're still just always trying to continuously improve in terms of getting more people to actually come into the room when we have the forum, not for lack of trying, but it's just one of those continuing conversations, for sure, and we talked about it at our last meeting. The survey brought a reminder to mind, and I probably just missed it somewhere, but I don't remember seeing like it feels like sometimes we have a discussion around the survey feedback that came, and maybe that just either hasn't happened or I missed
haven't
it.
done it yet.
But yeah, whenever that comes, I know I always really appreciate kind of being able to see it. I feel like you kind of pull out some common threads for us, and that's helpful whenever it's the right time.
We'll also share the student feedback. And I forgot to mention this, but I think it is important to note there's a legal requirement that asks districts to ask students what their experience is like. And while we've done that before, it is now part of every LCAP process. So this year, our students from grades 2 through 8 will be engaging in that feedback circle for us. We've added a few questions and a couple of items, including in the section where it asks, how do you mostly feel at school? We added some things that make sense. Anxiety or anxious, those kinds of things that we're seeing in other places where we're collecting information, like our universal screeners and things like that. So we're just, making sure that students can put their voice to whatever that feeling is. And then we're asking students how they identify themselves demographically. So, whether they see themselves as Latinx or, those are kinds of things that the state wants to know. And so we have, second graders through 8th graders. So they might say, there's an answer that says, I don't know, or I don't want to tell you, or other. But it is a way for us to collect information from kids that they want to tell us. So I think it's really nice.
And does that stay within the district, those individual responses? It's not something like you then report out to the case from state?
It's really meant for our purposes and to inform the LCAP as we move forward. Occasionally there is a section in the LCAP where we can say, use some quotes from a student. It's never attached to their name. Yeah, thank you.
I'll jump in. Wow, it's so much that we're doing across the board. And it's neat to see that formal and informal stuff, and then the stuff that we hear about all the time, and to remember, oh yeah, that connects to the LCAP, that connects. Like there's so many kind of pillars that the LCAP rests on.
Yeah.
And it feels so strong. And I love that you mentioned that our families email you with ideas and reaching out. I'm just having an idea because it does seem like so many of these are the parent or the student coming to talk to you or filling out the form, like taking an action. Do we ever, because we look at these numbers, these LCAP numbers with so much like the dashboard and a lot of these, the iReady stuff, do we ever, I don't know, maybe pick random students and kind of like, maybe that's the data. I mean, maybe you didn't even add that. Like, do we ever get into like certain kids and what's going on with them and a cross section of certain stories where we go to them.
Yeah, well, I think part of that is, there's two ways. One is called ad hoc grouping. And so you just bring a group of, maybe affinity, like grouped kids, which is like, you know, maybe they have a commonality. And you say like, what's your experience like? And sometimes kids are like super open and honest and want to do that. And sometimes they're not as much. I know when Craig was at New Brighton, that's when we introduced the first time. And he was kind of like, well, they do it. And, you know, and they were willing. The other way that we probably collect data more now, because we're trying to hone the skill of our walkthroughs, is to really observe the student experience. And that's where we can see, are they engaged? Like, are they talking? Are, you know, like, and we're looking at kids in affinity groups. Like we're saying, as an English learner experience, what are some themes and some of the things we're seeing? As a student, you know, who perhaps, you know, has learning difficulties, what is their experience? And so, and their teachers have identified them and we have information about them before we go out to observe their experience. But we don't talk to them because what we don't want them to think is that something isn't quite right with them, because there's nothing everything's right with them. It's our system that we're looking at. So that's just kind of another piece, but I appreciate your kind of reflective take on that and really trying to think about other ways, because we do ask for a lot of information from families, and it would be great if all families were like, hey, I have all these great ideas, and we're like, let's try to.
Yeah.
And sometimes that happens, and sometimes families are just busy.
Yeah.
And so we want to be respectful of that too. But
Yeah.
you know, I mean, any ways in which our community wants to talk to us and share their thoughts and ideas and feelings are always wanted.
Yeah. Cool. Very cool. Any other comments or questions? No, Robert? No.
No, extremely thorough.
Okay.
Yeah, it was great. And I agree with Ted. That's a lot of hard work going into all those things. That's great.
All right, thanks for that. All right, moving on to action items. Consider approval of the bid contract from AT&T for the E-rate dedicated Ethernet.
Okay, so this is something that we've been participating for about 24 years. And it's really awesome because it helps us get discounted rates for internet. And sometimes, depending on the cycle, it could be where they have to redo all of the wiring and so forth. So it helps with all the infrastructure with our internet as well as service. So this one is for service. And we're really happy that AT&T came in with a really low bid for 10 gigs compared to what Spectrum came in. Was like about less than half. So it's would cover all 5 sites, Opal, the gardens. They have to do a little bit extra for the gardens just to get it up and running. They need some extra cabling and so forth. But other than that, we were really happy with what they came in with. So we're looking to get this approved so we can move forward with it. And this would start for 24-25 school year.
Great. Any questions or were you adding something? No.
Oh, no,
No.
I was looking at Robert.
Oh, okay. Any questions or comments from?
Yeah,
How much was it last year?
The cost last year, I want to say it was about between 13 and 1,500 last year, or 1,000, sorry.
Gotcha. Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
just a little side note, Cruisio, we approved something with Cruisio. Now, remind me what that is.
There was a separate item from this that provided some low-cost internet by putting equipment on top of our buildings.
Low
But-
cost for us or
For the community.
Yeah.
community? Okay, all right.
Yeah, and this one the internet one cycles through about every 4 years or so. So this is our last year of what we currently have. And so that's why we had to go out to bid to go through with this for 24-25.
Who's the current vendor? Is it currently AT&T?
Comcast.
It's Comcast. And did they bid?
Comcast actually did not. Spectrum bid and AT&T. And we did, with Comcast, we did have, some issues, with the billings, getting our credits, so that did take a long time to get our credits and so forth.
Okay, well, sounds great.
Yeah, anything else?
Questions for me?
Nope. All right, would someone like to make a motion?
Sure. I'll make- I was just having a respectful pause if anyone wants to make a motion. I move that we approve the bid contract from AT&T for the E-rate dedicated Ethernet.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion passes. All right, 6B, consider approving the resolution to decrease the number of certificated employees due to a reduction in a particular kind of service.
No. All right. So to start, I want to thank Personnel Coordinator Cindy Figueroa for doing all the work on this item. I'm just sharing her item. One small caveat before I dive into the particulars. When I talk about this item, I will talk about it in position only, not any names who happen to fill the position. I just point that out because sometimes in our small, friendly, informal, family-like district, it sounds and seems kind of odd and strange to not mention names, but it's intentional and procedural here to only mention positions and not names. Okay, so as you've heard me say, probably ad nauseum, every bit of input I've received along the way, and I'd say jumping off the LCAP item that we've received along the way, as in my tenure here, has been, whether it's formal or informal, has ranked school counselors at the top of the list of priorities for our schools. So this item is in alignment with that lofty place that school counselors hold in our school district community. The official title of this item, resolution to decrease the number of certificated employees due to a reduction in particular kinds of services, sounds much harsher and more severe than its intended purpose and intent on the item. The real essence of this item starts with this. As you know, all of our schools currently have counselors. This wasn't always the case. Not that long ago, our district had one counselor for the entire district. Out of necessity, that lone counselor position grew into program coordinator of school counseling services because we needed them to supervise our interns. The counseling interns helped out at the school sites. Don't get me wrong, the interns were great. Still, we dreamed of the day that we could have fully licensed counselors at every school site. That day is now here, and that simply means that we do not need the particular position of the coordinator of school counseling services. It's an organizational instructional change, not a change that has anything to do with performance. That's why I bring this item to you tonight. This item in no way diminishes the importance and sincere commitment to maintain counseling at the current level in our district. In fact, by recommending this item for your approval, we are actually reaffirming our commitment to the current level of counseling services in our district. It's not that we need less counseling, we just don't have the need for the coordinator position.
Okay.
That's all. So one last thing I'd like to say is how much I'm appreciative to SEA regarding this matter, this position, coordinator of counseling services that we are recommending to be reduced is an SEA unit member position. Leading up to this item tonight, we've been able to have common sense dialogue with the unit member themselves and SEA representation, which I think and I hope has allowed us to get to this point with a full understanding of the why for bringing forth this item so that it in no way seems punitive. We have successfully worked together to ensure a smooth transition to another position in 24-25 for any employee currently serving in the position of program coordinator of counseling services. Thanks for letting me provide that explanation.
Thanks for that. Questions or comments from the board?
I think, just to say it in a different way, if it's okay, just to like reiterate, just in case there is anyone who's concerned, one of the things on our board memo, which is in the public docket, is just making it super clear that the elimination of this position results in absolutely, no particular employee being laid off or anything like that. As you mentioned, Scott, there's a, there's a transition.
Yep.
It's just a change sort of,
Correct.
in eliminating the position. It's not, being utilized the way it used to be because we have counselors everywhere. So thank you for putting all out there. I just wanted to say a little extra piece.
Helpful.
Yeah, and then my only question would be, should the situation change in the future? And I mean, of course, we all want to keep counselors at each individual site as long as we possibly can. Should the situation change, does the district have the ability to bring the position back?
Yep, the job description won't go away. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
I want to reiterate a third time that I love that you really clarified how important counseling is to us, that we actually don't need this position because we have counselors at all our sites. So that's great. And we can always bring it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, counseling's important. Yeah. Robert, did you have anything?
No, that was a great explanation, and I appreciate everybody's comments afterwards, clarifying it and making sure everybody knows that that's a priority for this board and this school district.
All right. Would someone like to make a motion?
You make the motion. I raise a motion to approve the resolution to decrease the number of certificated employees due to reduction in particular kinds of services.
Do I have a second?
I will second.
All right, all in favor?
This one's a resolution.
Aye.
I think that's.
The resolution.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh. Trustee Gray,
Yes.
trustee Jackson Miller,
Yes.
trustee Donnelly,
Yes.
trustee Edmondson,
Yes.
trustee Dickinson.
Yes.
All right, the motion passes 5-0. Do I have to say that? All right, thanks for that. Moving on, 6C, consider adopting the resolution for Santa Cruz County Office of Education to provide temporary cash loan to our district.
So this is another annual resolution. It comes every year. That doesn't mean that we're gonna utilize it. It's just in the event if, cash flow were to be, a little delayed or what have you. This would allow the COE to get us through those last few months of the year. However, we haven't had to use it in the last few years, so the likelihood of having to use it this year is probably very low at 0. But it's always good just to have it passed and so forth.
All right, thanks. Any questions or comments?
So this is before it dips down to the reserve.
This would be because cash, our actual physical cash can be different than what we are showing in the system. Sometimes cash doesn't come in as fast because, we have grants or so forth.
Okay.
So yeah.
see.
So this is
I see what-
actual.
okay.
yeah.
Is this something that exists all year round and we're just asking for this specific time frame, or it doesn't exist all year round and we're only asking for this time frame?
So normally, July through April, we can borrow cash, if we have to borrow from another fund, move things around, we can do that. But towards the end of the year, the cutoff date is April 26th this year. So from April 26th through June 30th, we cannot borrow cash from any of our other funds. We can't move anything around. So that's why the COE would then have to come in and would help.
Good question. Anything else? No? Robert, you jumping in?
No, I recall this from last year and I think it's smart.
Yeah. All right. Are we ready for a motion? Would someone like
I'll
to
make the motion to adopt the resolution for Santa Cruz County Office of Education to provide temporary cash loan to Soquel Union Elementary School District. I thought of that all myself.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think it's a resolution again.
Oh, is it again?
Yeah.
Okay,
Trustee Gray,
yes.
trustee Jackson Miller,
Yes.
trustee Donnelly,
Yes.
trustee Edmondson,
Yes.
trustee Dickinson.
Yes.
All right, the motion passes 5-0. All right, do we have any correspondence? No?
Nothing here.
All right. Future agenda items, you can always email me or the superintendent about that. May I have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make it.
A second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, the meeting's adjourned at, this is like
It's a
record
record.
breaking. That's 6:34, 6:37, sorry, 7:34.